just bear with me. It's been a while since I experienced all of this, and I've had a lot of caffeine because my 3-year-old was up all night with a bad cold. The first ex I had was a compulsive liar. After being together for over 2 years, she posted wedding photos of herself and a guy she met after me. That was a fun one. Surprisingly, it didn't really hurt me. It just left me with a sense of humor because, seriously, who does that? But the one that really hurt was the ex after her. We met online, hit it off, and I even moved 1,500 miles away from home to be with her. My belongings had just arrived when we were lying on her bed, cuddling and watching TV. She was texting someone, and out of curiosity, I glanced at her phone. Turns out, she was texting the other person she was involved with, AP. He couldn't wait to introduce her to his parents, and she felt the same way. It was a strange thing for them to discuss while I was right there. But I guess that's how it goes. When I was about to leave and go back to my apartment, I confronted her about what I had seen on her phone. She exploded in anger, yelling and shouting, going on about how dare I invade her privacy and all that blah blah blah. I went home, couldn't sleep, and the next morning I went to her parents' house to talk things out. She was still acting like complete trash, so her dad took her to another room for a few minutes. When she came back out, she was in tears, apologizing and saying a bunch of empty words. She swore to me that she had cut off all contact with the other guy, that she wouldn't see him anymore, and all that nonsense. Here's the ironic part. They were classmates in a nursing program, so they spent the whole day together. I couldn't confirm what they were doing or not doing. She did a good job at hiding it. And then, not long after the incident, she told me that at school he tried to kiss her, and she rejected his advances. Okay, so you were supposed to stay away from him, but apparently that didn't happen. Whatever. Then her anger started escalating even more. It turns out that another classmate from her school had been involved with the affair partner and was now angry at my ex, which made her furious. She expected me to do something about it, but I had no clue who this person was, since I had never heard of her before. Besides, her school was located about an hour away from where we lived. The situation kept getting worse and worse. On top of that, she became really paranoid about getting pregnant. She carried around multiple pregnancy tests with her and would often sit me down to tell me that she might be pregnant. Once, she asked me to drop her off at Planned Parenthood for a checkup, which ended up taking a few hours because she didn't have insurance. I can't confirm if everything was legitimate, but I remember getting frustrated because I had never waited that long for a doctor's appointment. Adding to the chaos, she claimed that she had to stay at her brother's house once a week because she was assigned to work at a retirement home that was a bit of a drive from us. I have my doubts about whether she was actually staying there. Her brother lived in a nearby city where the affair partner resided. I have to mention that the AP bears a striking resemblance to me. It's weird to think about how he looks like the version of me without my workout routine. It's quite amusing to see that she clearly has a type and still managed to choose someone below me in terms of character. Then November came. She asked me to go for a drive and revealed that she was considering dropping out of the school where she had met the AP. I'm not entirely sure about the exact circumstances, but I believe that he gave her an ultimatum to choose between him and our relationship, and that's why she left. I was fine with that, or so I thought. Little did I know that she was obviously still involved with him. She planned to return to the same school I was attending, thinking that we would see each other more often. Sounds good. So time keeps moving, and to be honest, I can't recall anything particularly suspicious happening, but if you've made it this far, you can clearly see that I'm just too trusting. She dropped out of school again, this time to work. Maybe something happened during that period. Her behavior during this whole time took a noticeable turn for the worse. She started drinking frequently. It could be guilt from the affair, or maybe she started a new one, but I honestly have no clue. Finally, we moved back to my hometown. I'm pretty sure she reached out to her affair partner again during this time. Oh, I just remembered that she flew back to her hometown for a few days to visit her sister for her birthday. Okay, now something starts to make a little more sense. Her behavior leading up to the trip and afterward goes off the rails. Lots of hostility, lots of screaming. She tells me she's pretending in bed or thinking about other guys. After years of enduring this, I'm completely worn out. I had zero self-esteem left. She drained every ounce of life, every part of my being. She tells me she's going back, and stupidly, I decide to join her. And that's when things take a turn for the worse. She lands a job working with her brother at a company located just outside of town. I'm pretty sure she's meeting up with the affair partner or someone else during this time. The breaking point for me was when she didn't answer her phone one night and came home hours after her work shift ended, claiming that the custodial staff didn't show up. Yeah, right. By this point, I'm constantly getting yelled at and berated for even the smallest things, real or imagined. She's telling me that our kids won't learn anything about my culture. My dad is an immigrant, trying to make me sleep on the couch, and we haven't been close for about 6 months. On top of all that, I discover mysterious stains in my car, and now she pulls this? That's when it finally sinks in that I deserve better treatment than this. I gather the courage to stand up for myself and tell her that I'm done. I think it was about a week after Valentine's Day when I left. My brother flew up to help me drive away. I received a mix of messages from her ranging from, "Please come back, I'll do anything," to pure venom. Since I didn't go no contact, I had the unfortunate experience of hearing about her bringing other men to our shared apartment and being close with them on the very bed we used to sleep on. Then she started talking about this new guy she met and how she was in love with him. This all happened maybe 2 months after I left, and then one day while I was playing Civ 5, I received a text message. It was from her. She had just reached 8 weeks of pregnancy. Oh well, 8 weeks before that was my birthday. Whatever. We weren't together anymore. She wanted me to hear the news directly from her before she posted it on social media. How thoughtful. It took me about 2 months to find out who the father was, and it turned out to be the affair partner. I have no idea about the guy she claimed to be in love with, but I can only imagine it didn't end well for him because her declarations of love and getting pregnant by the affair partner happened very close together. She and the affair partner are still together, now married with 2 children. Ironically, she ended up in the very town she used to express her fear of being stuck in forever. I remember her crying once, worried that when I went back to my parents' house, I would revert back to my old self. It's funny because I've always been someone who remains faithful, and cutting her out of my life allowed me to grow and become a better person. It's truly amazing how much my life improved after she was out of the picture. After a few years and many exciting new experiences, I met my incredible wife. She's absolutely stunning and has a heart of gold. She's an amazing wife, and a few years ago, she became a wonderful mother to our children. If I had stayed with my ex, I would have missed out on meeting my wife, having my kids, and starting my own successful company that gives me a lot of freedom. We're even closing on our new house next week. My ex always despised the idea of me pursuing anything or showing ambition. My wife is my biggest supporter. I still remember the excitement in my ex's voice when she expressed how happy she was that I gave up on my dream of going to law school. In contrast, my wife encouraged me to pursue it and cheered me on every step of the way, even though I eventually realized it wasn't for me and dropped out. Unlike my ex, my wife embraces new experiences, like our honeymoon outside the U.S. and going on cruises. I came out on top. There may not be a polite way to say it, but it's the truth. My life has improved so much that it's truly incredible to reflect on how far I've come. I've created wonderful new memories, met amazing people, and my life has taken a complete turnaround in ways I never imagined. To conclude, I guess things aren't going so well for my ex because she reached out to me a year ago, seemingly attempting to make amends. She apologized for all the hurtful things she said and did, and mentioned that there's still a place in her heart for me because I was her first love. Well, too bad for her, right? Sometimes things just don't work out. Second story. My wife and I tied the knot in August 2019. Our journey wasn't a breeze, and we had our fair share of arguments, but I never felt like we were at risk of losing each other. We both had our own challenges to overcome. I've been in recovery for an addiction to adult movies, for over 6 years, while she was starting therapy to address her childhood trauma. I believed we were on the right path. By August of 2020, our relationship still had its rough patches, but hey, it was our first year of marriage, so it was expected to be a bit tough, right? I thought that even though we weren't where we used to be, we had at least made progress. However, a few weeks into August, my wife started growing more distant. She spent increasingly more time with her male co-workers. I started getting worried, but every time I tried to talk about it, she reassured me. You struggle with lust, not me. I'm never alone with them. I just get along better with guys, and so on. I had my doubts, but I convinced myself that she was right. After all, I was the one dealing with my ex-movie struggle, so maybe I needed stricter boundaries than her, right? We had a discussion early on in our marriage about not being alone with someone of the opposite sex to avoid any potential issues. While she acknowledged our agreement, she didn't think it applied to her because her struggles weren't related to sex. She expected me to be fine with her spending time with male coworkers since they were all Christians working at a Christian restaurant. What bad could come from that? In the middle of August, we celebrated our anniversary by going on a group trip. We rented an Airbnb in the Northern Peninsula and invited our closest friends, including the guy I later discovered she was having an affair with. During the trip, my suspicions grew stronger. She distanced herself from me and spent more and more time alone with this guy, despite my concerns. It all came to a head when I returned one night and realized they were swimming together in the lake, just the two of them. Her behavior even raised eyebrows among her other friends, who called her out on it. Moving ahead, it was August 30th when everything came crashing down. D-Day. By that time, I had grown increasingly suspicious, and every night when she returned home, the questions of where have you been and who were you with would start. I didn't think she was currently having an affair, but I expressed my belief that she was putting herself at risk of having one. Spending so much one-on-one time in close settings with someone else was bound to develop feelings, in my opinion. Anyway, on the 30th, as we were leaving church, she seemed distant once again. I decided to ask her directly, "Are you committed to this marriage?" That's when she responded with, "We need to talk." She took me to a park and revealed what had been happening. She admitted that the affair had been going on since our anniversary. She confessed her love for this guy and made it clear that she had no intentions of ending their relationship. That was just about a month ago. In the few interactions we've had since then, she has been very clear that she doesn't want to reconcile our marriage, even if this other guy wasn't in the picture. She claims that if our marriage hadn't already been falling apart, she wouldn't have sought someone else. My logical mind knows that's a weak excuse, but deep down, I still blame myself. Meanwhile, she continues to see this guy openly expressing her love for him on Instagram and talking to her friends about how I should have fought harder for her. It's worth mentioning that she's a manager at this so-called Christian restaurant, and he's a new employee. Apparently, her boss is aware of the situation and has chosen to forgive her, which basically means they're sweeping it under the rug and going against their own supposed values. I never thought I'd be facing a divorce, but it seems like the choice is being made for me. Even if she suddenly wanted to work on things, I'm not sure I could. Right now, I'm living with my parents, and it's all just too overwhelming at times. I still wear the ring, not ready to take it off. I know she doesn't wear hers anymore, but I can't let go just yet. There are moments when I feel hopeful about the future, but then there are times when even basic tasks feel too difficult. I can't sleep properly due to disturbing dreams, and I'm just trying to get through each day. I do have things to keep me occupied, and I have a new job starting in October, which will be a positive change. But that's where I stand for now. I have an appointment with a lawyer on Tuesday. According to them, the legal process should be relatively straightforward, at least in terms of logistics. I've also resumed my weekly therapy sessions. My therapist is a Christian, but not the kind who just throws religious phrases at me without reason. He's supportive and incorporates faith-related discussions if I ask for it. By the way, the restaurant she works at is Chick-fil-A. She always boasted about how their Christian values made them different from other places. I recently discovered that she's been telling people that the reason we're separated is because I was offensive. I spoke to my lawyer about it, and he reassured me that it wouldn't have a negative impact unless she filed for a personal protection order and had solid evidence. So I need to avoid going to her workplace or contacting her. Yesterday, I received the ring back, and it was really tough for me. My lawyer will send her the necessary documents to sign, and if she doesn't contest anything, we can proceed with scheduling a hearing. But there's a waiting period of about 2 months. I went out with a friend last night, and we ended up drinking a lot and making out. It didn't go any further than that, but I'm feeling a tremendous amount of shame. My friend says we shouldn't feel guilty because my soon-to-be ex has moved on, and it was just a bit of fun. However, on paper, we're still married, and I feel like I've stooped down to her level and lost some moral ground. I still feel committed to my STB ex, even though she isn't committed to me. It's like I'm still in that relationship, even if she's moved on. My heart is still there. Our relationship is dead. It's over. We're just waiting for our court hearing to make it official. But she's been gone for a while now, and it seems like she's still sleeping with the other guy. It's only been 41 days since D-Day, so it's too soon for me to be messing around with anyone else. Was that considered cheating? Logically, I don't think so. We're done, and she's moved on to someone else. But I'm terrified of becoming a cheater. I'm afraid of turning into that kind of person. I tend to dwell in shame, and it ends up doing more harm than good. Even when I was single, I didn't engage in casual hookups much. So a big part of this is me grappling with going against my own values. Just to give you a bit of background, my wife had locked herself out of the apartment. We're separated and living in different places, but she texted me asking for my key to get in. She said she was using the landlord's copy, but needed mine. I haven't given it back yet, and I guess it's my way of holding on to something, or maybe my last little act of defiance. It's like, if I give it back, I'm letting go of the whole relationship. She's paranoid, and she admitted it herself. She's terrified that I'll break into the house. She even mentioned buying a tool for protection. I've never been violent towards her, never laid a hand on her, and I've reassured her many times that I wouldn't resort to violence. But the idea of her being afraid, even though it's unfounded, weirdly makes me feel good. It's like she knows that I still have access to her house if I really wanted to, and I'm choosing to hold on to that, to nurse that feeling. Maybe I just don't want to completely let her go, or maybe I still love her. I know that's messed up, but I felt so powerless throughout the entire relationship, so yeah, that's where I'm at. The more I think about it and reflect on it, the more messed up I realize this situation is. Today's journal entry was longer than usual. With the court hearing coming up, even though I know she's a narcissist and leaving's the best decision, it's still difficult and hitting me hard. So here we are, my friends. I didn't edit or try to organize my thoughts, but this is where I stand today. Update. These days are the absolute worst when I'm at work with nothing to do but research and file. It gives me a lot of time to think. Usually during times like this, I would text my wife and let her know how bored I am. Just casual stuff, like asking what she's up to, how work is going, or if anything new happened. I really miss those everyday conversations and the routine of married life. I didn't realize how lonely it feels to be single. Well, there you have it. I'm single. There are only 31 days left until the court date, and I'm scared. Like, really, really scared. I talked to Scott about the key and explained that every behavior serves a purpose. It's the only thing I have control over, and it makes sense. I never had control during the marriage, and I don't have control during the divorce either. Giving up the key means letting go completely, giving up control entirely. Honestly, I don't want to go home, and I don't want to go to work either. I'm struggling, like really having a hard time. It's difficult for me to find something to look forward to. I don't know if I'll be able to recover from this. Scott advised me to reclaim my past and acknowledge my own reality, instead of waiting for someone else to validate my experiences. That's essentially why I'm writing this letter, to seek acknowledgement from her and obtain her permission to embrace my own reality. I tend to deny myself that validation unless it's justified or approved by someone else. I feel like I'm on an emotional roller coaster, trapped in a transparent box of intense emotions. I feel like I'm going crazy. The silence is difficult to bear. As long as there's something happening every moment of the day, I can manage the pain. But when I'm not busy, I'm left alone with my thoughts and my mind. I despise my own brain. I feel trapped between difficult choices. Lately, I've been delving deep into research. Currently, I have more than 26 peer-reviewed articles about narcissism, childhood trauma's connection to infidelity, attachment styles, and infidelity. Infidelity in the first year of marriage, narcissism and infidelity, the long-term effects of betrayal trauma, characteristics of cheaters, whether cheaters are hypocritical, and traits of individuals who are more likely to be cheated on, and so on. Maybe someday I'll be able to make sense of all this. Perhaps this will turn out to be the most freaking huge research paper I've ever tackled. And maybe I'll finally be able to conclusively understand why it all happened. I'm going to try to analyze our failed marriage like a forensic autopsy. I won't lie. My intention is definitely to point out her faults and firmly convince the jury of my innocence while exposing her role in tearing our marriage apart. I'm angry right now. But as I calm down, I hope to be able to take a closer look at my own shortcomings too, because they're there, even though I hate to admit it. I believe the main reason I feel this strong need to prove my pain is that she hasn't truly acknowledged it. Every conversation I've had with her has involved her trying to explain it away, manipulate my perception, justify her actions, distort the truth, shift blame onto others, or rewrite the entire story. It's like I've been in lawyer mode, constantly on the witness stand. Even though we've cut off contact, she's still draining my thoughts like a parasite. I find myself doubting the whole institution of marriage, questioning the values that I've always believed were fundamental truths. I don't see the point in waiting until marriage anymore. I don't see the point in taking that leap. I don't see the point in risking it all. Maybe I still do, but the potential for failure and the risk involved seem too overwhelming. I was so sure, like really sure, that she was the one for me. I thought I'd escaped a disaster with my previous fiancé, but maybe I just swapped a rotten onion for deadly poison. One is disgusting, the other destroys you. Who knows, the previous one could have been even worse, probably would have been, but the bottom line is that my judgment is screwed up. How can I be absolutely certain about anything when the thing I was ridiculously, beyond a doubt sure about, turned out to be a lie? My mom asked me if I could imagine myself getting married again, moving forward with my life. Right after she asked, she realized it was too early to bring up such a question. And don't get me wrong, it definitely was too soon. I'm nowhere near ready to even remotely think about moving on. But if I had to answer right now, I'd say no. Nope. No way in hell am I getting married again. What am I supposed to tell everyone? Hey guys, welcome back. This whole experience has been an absolute nightmare. It's been 277 days since the day I found out. I'm a 27-year-old guy, and she, the wayward spouse, is a 28-year-old woman. She cheated on me with a guy who works for her, and they had over 20 encounters in just 1 week. I can't stand him. I have revenge and torture fantasies running through my mind all day long. Messed up stuff that I'm pretty sure would violate community standards if I shared it. I've never hated anyone as much as I hate him. This weekend, I attended a wedding and I was furious the whole time. I caught myself resenting the happiness of the married couple, feeling left out like a hollow shell of a person while that jerk is out there living his life. Seeking revenge would destroy my life. He's not worth it, but everything else just feels so unsatisfying. I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. If I take any action against him, I mess up my own life and look like a fool. If I do nothing, I obsess over all the things I wish I could do to him. I read somewhere that men often focus more on the affair partner AP, while women focus more on the wayward spouse. Well, this guy was right in the middle of my life and the mental images won't stop. Damn cheaters. We are officially divorced. The affair partner was actually a mutual friend whom I trusted, and they were well aware that we were married at the time of their affair. We don't have any children together. I've already been tested for STDs, and fortunately, the results came back clean. The wayward spouse showed no remorse, and instead blamed me for the cheating. Currently, I'm seeing a therapist to help me through this situation. Since the divorce, I haven't had any contact with my ex or the AP. Just to clarify, I'm not seeking advice on how I should feel or who to be angry with. I'm here for support, not for guidance. I want to make it clear that I'm not normally this angry, but being at a wedding triggered these emotions. I had a therapy session today, and it was incredibly helpful. My therapist guided me through the destructive nature of seeking revenge. I expressed how powerless I felt by doing nothing, and he compared my situation to Batman. He explained that one of the reasons Batman is seen as a hero is because of what he chooses not to do, how he refrains from seeking destruction. He emphasized that my choice to do nothing was a display of strength, not weakness. It was an empowering decision. He pointed out that I redirected my negative feelings from the AP towards respecting myself, while still acknowledging the AP's despicable actions and the depths they have sunk to.